This isn't a news update. It's a deep dive into why this tiny channel of water has controlled the world's energy and your life for decades, and what happens if it stops. Right now, your next iPhone isn't just delayed. In the worst case scenario, it could be canceled. Your retirement account is under serious pressure, and the gas prices you thought were finally stabilizing have jumped toward $5.50 a gallon in the United States. Here's the terrifying part. None of this is happening because of a stock market crash. It's happening because of 39 kilometers of water that has suddenly become the flashpoint of a new US naval blockade targeting Iranian oil exports and the tankers that would pass through the strait. This is the Strait of Hormuz. Over the weekend, the emergency ceasefire talks in Islamabad failed to produce a deal. In the background, Iran began demanding a massive security fee from every ship that wants to pass through the strait. Most people think this is just a Middle East war story. They're wrong, because this is the story of a 39-kilometer gap that has quietly controlled the world's energy for decades, and now sits at the heart of a potential global crisis. Today, I'm going to show you why this 39-kilometer gap is the only thing standing between the global economy and a potential systemic shock, and what that would actually mean for you, not just the headlines. Now let's look at the map. The Persian Gulf is a teardrop, and the Strait of Hormuz is a narrow straw at the bottom. As of this moment, that straw is badly clogged. Through this gap flows about 20% of the world's oil and roughly 20% of its liquefied natural gas. Geographers call this a choke point, but lately it has also become a combat zone, with the US Fifth Fleet moving to enforce a new blockade, and Iran's Revolutionary Guard declaring that it now controls the waterway. The flow of energy through the strait hasn't just slowed, it's thrown into chaos. Trade isn't completely frozen, but the risk of interruption is now so high that the global markets are already acting like the strait has shut down. You might think, I take the subway, I don't care about the gas prices. Here's the chain you aren't seeing. Nearly 90% of the oil and gas that would normally pass through the Strait of Hormuz was heading to Asia, and the country that depends on it the most is Taiwan. Taiwan imports almost all of its energy. Over 90% of its oil and LNG is shipped in from abroad. Right now, Taiwan's statutory LNG reserves are required to last 11 days, and the actual stockpiles are hovering just above that at about 12 days. Taiwan produces more than 90% of the world's most advanced semiconductor chips. These chip fabs are among the most energy-intensive factories on Earth. They need a perfectly stable, massive power grid just to keep running. If the strait stays closed long enough, Taiwan's LNG reserves could fall below the safety margin, forcing the government to cut power to industrial users, including TSMC's fabs. If the power to the fabs becomes unstable, production doesn't just slow down. Yields crash, machines stop. If TSMC is forced into long-term shutdowns because the gas ships from Qatar can't pass through Hormuz, Apple could be forced to cancel or postpone the iPhone 17 or the next generation of AI servers. In the worst case scenario, the advanced chip pipeline that powers your phone, your laptop, and even the AI that runs ChatGPT could all grind to a halt. Join us on Amazing Talker. It's our one-on-one tutoring platform. You can find a tutor to learn about English or history or any other subject. Our tutors are from all around the world and speak your native language. More than 1 million students have joined us already, making us one of the largest learning platforms online. So if you're interested in learning more, learning languages, or just something a little less scary, well, just click on the link below and register to get $10 off. So why can't the US just force the strait open? As of early 2026, the US national debt has crossed $36 trillion and is projected to keep climbing. The interest on that debt right now rivals the entire defense budget. In some projections, it's expected to pass it within a few years. With the ceasefire talks in Islamabad failing and the 2026 midterms approaching, the political and economic cost of an open-ended naval war in the Gulf is a calculation Washington is terrified to make. Adding another major war in the Gulf would push it into uncharted financial and political territory. The world we knew before February 2026, in which 20% of the planet's oil and gas flowed through a single narrow choke point without interruption, is now gone. Oil prices have surged again to around $100 a barrel, reflecting the new risk of a full closure of the strait. Here's what you need to do. Watch the tech sell-off. Don't panic sell, but realize the just-in-time supply chain is now fragile. Value could shift toward companies that own more control over their energy and supply chains. Audit your energy exposure. Gas is heading towards $6. Every product you buy, from food to tech, could get more expensive over the next 60 days. Stay rational. Every major crisis in history has done the same thing. It takes money from the people who panic and hands it to the people who stay calm. The question is, which one do you want to be? Now, I want to hear from you. Given everything happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now, what do you think the United States should do? Should we send in the Navy, increase pressure on the strait, and try to force open a route that's vital to the global economy and the chip supply chains that power your phone and laptop? Or should we limit direct confrontation and encourage allies in Asia to secure their energy and sea lanes themselves and focus on accelerating our own energy transition at home? So drop your take in the comments down below, but more importantly, tell us what this means for you. If the strait stays unstable and oil and chip supplies get disrupted, what change would you actually make in your life? In how would you invest? Or how you use technology? Or how you prepare your household for the next crisis? Are you the person who panics the moment headlines scream war? Or the one who starts asking how to stay ahead instead of waiting to be knocked down?